Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the class. We are now going to look at linguistic and cultural relativity. And this is a very interesting concept. And I'm not going to give you first the definition of linguistic and cultural relativity, but I am hoping that after listening to the explanation and also looking at the examples presented in this PowerPoint, you can have a certain kind of understanding of what these concepts mean. Okay, but first we can look at the definition of language and culture, just to make sure. Language is a system of arbitrary vocal and or visual symbols used by people of a given culture to carry on their social affairs. Okay, so look again into your notes in the first meetings. Okay, so I think we talk about what arbitrary is. Okay, so arbitrary vocal and visual symbols. So it's a combination of vocal and also visual symbols, and they are all arbitrary. So there is no certain connection between them. And this is the definition of culture. So culture is an integrated pattern of human knowledge, belief, and behavior. Okay, and that results from the human capacity for learning and also transmitting knowledge to succeeding generations. So it's passed on from generation to generations. Let's have a look at the example. Yeah, so this is an example of cultural relativity. Well, actually a combination of linguistic and cultural relativity. The concept of right versus left in Indonesian culture. When you give something to another person, you always use your right hand as an Indonesian, never your left hand. Why is that? So we know the difference between right and left. We believe that right is good and left is bad. So in giving and receiving things, we always use our right hands. So from knowledge and belief, this results in a certain kind of behavior that we see as a culture. Because our culture says that when we give something, we always use our right hand because we have the knowledge that and also the belief that right is good and left is bad. But do you think that the same cultural value also happens in English-speaking countries? No, they can just use their right or left hands to give things or receive things. Well, people usually do this with right hands anyway because they are right-handed, because it's biologically driven. So they are more used to using their right hands. But this is biological. They don't have any culture that tells them you have to use the right hands because right is good, left is bad. So it's fine for them to even shake hands or give things, receive things with their left hand. All right. So what we can learn from this example is that an individual's beliefs and behaviors are influenced by the culture. Or cultural values in which he or she lives. All right, so when we talk about linguistic relativity, then we have contrastive analysis. Okay, so linguistic relativity is something in language that is very specific to that certain language. And cultural relativity is cultural values that is very specific to a certain culture. It doesn't exist in another culture. So we will look at different examples of linguistic relativity, how one language perceive this thing and another language perceive it differently. Yeah. Then we have contrastive analysis, because contrastive analysis is when you contrast two different languages. Okay, and when we have cultural relativity, we talk about certain specific things that only exist in one culture. And because of that, we have CCU, or cross-cultural understanding, because what happens in one culture does not happen in another culture. Okay, these are more examples. This is a note from Pak Effendi. One day, I got a text from a student advisee. Excuse me, sir, can I see Pak Effendi today? Okay, so this is an example of pragmatic transfer because it carries Indonesian politeness into English and results in the wrong English utterance. Yeah, this is not exactly common in English-speaking countries to mention the name. Yeah, can I see Pak Effendi today? But you're actually talking to the person. This is not used as a third person pronoun, but in this context, it is used as a second person pronoun. Harusnya, ya, and correct English utterance would be, excuse me, sir, can I see you today? Yeah, so you have to use second person pronoun. You don't have to mention the name, right? So this is a little bit of cultural transfer, carrying over Indonesian politeness into English. And also this translation, can I go to the backyard? Yeah. So the people who say this, the person who says this wants to use euphemism. Jadi diperhalus ya. Maunya bilang, can I go to the toilet gitu. Tapi karena dia memakai Indonesian euphemism, toilet biasanya belakang, kemudian dia terjemahkan menjadi backyard. Well, this is wrong because the euphemistic expressions ke belakang is culture specific and also language specific. So this is not translatable into another language, especially distant language. So you cannot translate the euphemistic expressions because it's culture specific and language specific. Yeah. Also, another example. Wow, a nice necklace. Oh, no, it's very cheap. I don't care about the price. Yeah, so this is a pragmatic transfer because in English, when somebody compliments you, they would simply say, thank you, gitu ya, karena dipuji. All right, thank you. Yeah, but in Indonesian, we tend to be very humble and we will point out at some of the negative things. Ya, nggak rela gitu kayaknya kalau diri sendiri dipuji. It's a very nice necklace. Oh no, it's very cheap. Well, I'm just saying that it's nice. I don't care about the price. Just say thank you gitu ya. All right. So another thing here. Let's look at the concept of language. Language, as we know, is a combination of lexicon and grammar. Lexicon itu kata-kata ya, so words plus grammar. Then you have language. You cannot have only words ya. Kalau nggak ada grammarnya, tidak akan menjadi bahasa. Dan kalau tidak ada kata-katanya, hanya ada grammar aja, itu juga tidak akan menjadi bahasa. So it's a combination of both lexicon and grammar. With lexicon, we can lexicalize, and then there is a concept called lexicalization. Jadi pembentukan kata. How can word become accepted in a language? Itu namanya lexicalization. To lexicalize, verbnya ya tentu maksudnya adalah to put a concept into a word, creating a word. That means you put a concept and make a word. And then grammar is to grammatize. And then we have grammatization. And to Grammatize, of course, is to put a concept into a grammatical marker. So we make grammar, we make grammatical markers. Yeah, we will have an example. So to grammatize is to put a concept into a grammatical marker. For example, you have a concept of countable nouns. Countable nouns, noun yang bisa dihitung ya. Kalau satu berarti singular, kalau lebih dari satu itu plural, gitu kan. Nah, dalam bahasa Indonesia, konsep plural dan singular ini dibedakan. Kalau singular, satu aja kata yang digunakan, tapi kalau plural, katanya di double. Jadi rumah menjadi rumah-rumah gitu ya. So this is the grammar of singular and plural nouns in Indonesian. But in English, konsep plural and singular itu menggunakan grammatical marker yang lain gitu. Mereka menggunakan s atau is. Jadi house menjadi houses. Alright, so we see that English and Indonesian is grammatizing plurality using different grammatical marker. Plural Indonesian use reduplication, where in English they use affixation taking the suffix es. Gitu ya. So hope you can get this one. Also, we have present and past tense. The concept of present and past tense. In English verbs, they use this grammar. I work every day. I worked every day. So it's using past tense marker. The grammar is apparent here using ed. Kalau pakai ed, itu adalah past tense. But in Indonesian, it's not grammatized. Ya. Time, past tense, present tense, future tense is not really grammatized in Indonesian. Jadi tidak ada grammar marker yang menandai waktu dalam bahasa Indonesia. Cukup memakai adverb. Ya. Saya makan tadi pagi. Okay, so that means it's past. But we don't have any marker like in English. That was grammaticalization. Now we also have what is called as lexicalization. Lexicalization is to put a concept into a linguistic form. So in a simple way, it's like creating a word, yeah, putting a concept into a word. Differences in grammatization and lexicalization across languages are the major concern of linguistic relativity. When these differences go further involving cultural conventions, we move deeper into cultural relativity. Okay, so first starts with linguistic relativity. When it goes further and involves more and more cultural conventions, then it's cultural relativity. So they are very related. Now, let's have a look at equal lexicalization between Indonesian and English. We seem to have equal ideas. Yeah? So we have word for bumi in English, that's earth, and then word for air is water, a word for batu is stone. Yeah? So this is equal. We are referring to the same object using this word. Using these lexical items, ya, word itu biasa disebut lexical items juga. So because in both languages we seem to be able to refer to the same object using a particular word, that means this is equal lexicalization. We have a word for bumi. In English it's earth. Yeah, in Indonesian it's bumi. We have a word for something that flows in the river. In Indonesian is air. In English is water, and so on. But we also have unequal lexicalization. This is what is called as linguistic relativity. So it's relative to certain languages. In Indonesian, we have a word rumah, both for the abstract and also the concrete things, yeah, but in English, we differentiate them into house and home. House, that's the building, yeah, the concrete object, things that you can see and touch, yeah. My house is in Jalan blah 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 blah. But you are my home, yeah, I belong to you. Okay, so you use home and house differently. But in Indonesian, you can just use the word rumah. And notice that in English, there is only one word for rice. But in Indonesian, we have at least 4 words: padi, gabah, beras, nasi. Ya, so beras itu yang belum dimasak, nasi udah dimasak, padi yang masih menjadi tanaman. Nah, all of them in English is called rice. Why is that? Because the object is culturally intimate to Indonesian. We eat more rice. We interact with rice more than English people. But on the other way, we also have this example where in Indonesian there's only one word, but there are 6 different words in English for the word cara in Indonesian. Caranya gimana? Cara memasak, blah, blah, blah. In English, you can express this using different words based on the activity that you are doing. Way, manner, method, approach, technique, strategy, ya banyak. Why is that? Because the progress of science and technology in the Western culture. Okay, so progress of science and technology in that culture is more advanced than in Indonesian. And so that's why the words are culturally intimate to them. We also have creative lexicalization in English, also part of linguistic relativity. In Indonesian, we have apple. In English, it's apple. Yeah, but these items, yeah, they are actually tropical, existing in Indonesia, originally from Indonesia. And then when the English people want to lexicalize them, they use the word apple and then attach it to another word. Nanas jadinya pineapple. Jambu air menjadi rose apple. Belimbing menjadi star fruit. Terong menjadi eggplant. Kemiri menjadi candle nut. So they sort of being very creative, trying to lexicalize this item into their language. On the other hand, Indonesian also have creative lexicalization. Okay, notice that in English they are different words, but in Indonesian, seems like there's a similarity, pakai mata, ini matahari, mata air, mata-mata, okay? But they are actually very different concepts. Mata pelajaran, kenapa mata ini banyak dipakai, So it's a creativity of lexicalization. Kemudian kepala sekolah, kepala suku, kepala negara ini pakai kepala semua untuk pemimpin itu Di bahasa Indonesia pakainya kepala. Dalam bahasa Inggris you just use different word. Principal, chief, president gitu Tidak pakai head of gitu Memang ada misalnya head of the state, head of the apa, but that's not really it's too formal to use. They have separate words. Ibu jari, ibu kota, kenapa pakai ibu gitu All right, so these are examples of creative lexicalization in Indonesian. Okay, now we look at more culture-specific words. Japanese, in Japanese we have names of cookies like nokosari, bikang, lemper, lapis, lumpur, rengginang ya, lalu weci, menjas dan sebagainya. How are you going to translate this into English? Ya nggak bisa, biasanya ya translate, tidak ditranslate ya, jadi dituliskan nama aslinya ini because it's not translatable. Also, food in English like sandwich, hot dog, pizza, spaghetti, donut. Ya, ini kan ketika dipakai dalam bahasa Indonesia ya pakai nama aslinya ini ya, hot dog kan nggak bisa anjing panas gitu, atau sandwich apa ini, pasir. Nah, it's difficult. Donut ya, donut gitu ya. So the note here is that culture-specific words have no single word equivalent in another language, especially a distant language. Jadi nggak ada persamaannya di bahasa lain. Now, let's take a look at the concept of space. How do we lexicalize space? It's interesting to see that across languages, space is lexicalized into preposition. All languages have prepositions. Jadi space itu tempat ya. Itu biasanya menjadi preposition. Kuncinya di dalam laci. The key is in the drawer, ini sebagai preposition, ini juga sebagai preposition. Sepatuku di luar, indicating space, outside ya. My shoes are outside. Ini juga sebagai preposition. So all languages have prepositions, and usually space is lexicalized into prepositions. You can take a look at all of these examples. But English actually is more sensitive to space, because in English, space can also be incorporated as adverbial particles, which are not available in Indonesian. Ini adverbial particles misalnya up and down. Up if the addressee is in a higher position, and if it is in a lower position, then using in or down. Yeah. All right. For example, in Indonesian you can just say ngapain di situ, but in English you can specify it. Yeah. What are you doing there? What are you doing up there? What are you doing down there? Ya, kalau misalnya dia sedang di bawah ya down there. Kalau dia sedang di atas, up there. Kalau di Indonesian itu biasanya tidak diminta. Ya, kita bisa bilang di atas sana, di bawah situ gitu ya. Tapi that's not really required. We can also, in English, specify the adverbial particles further as phrasal verbs. Ya, jadi ada phrasal verbs. Naik itu bisa go up, go down, go on, go away, minggat itu go away, terus go on, turun, go down. Ya, jadi ini yang namanya phrasal verbs. Verb yang kemudian diikuti dengan adverbial particles. Kemudian dia menjadi sebuah phrase. Go up, go down, go on, go away. Gitu ya. Indonesian is not sensitive to space, jadi tidak ada yang namanya adverbial particles atau phrasal verbs in Indonesian. Oke, ini contoh lebih jauh tentang phrasal verbs. Ada get up, get on, get off, get together ya kan. Kalau di bahasa Indonesia nggak ada, jadi nggak ditambahi adverbial particles. There's also this cultural specific concept. Noun an in Indonesian, for example. We have harian, mingguan, bulanan, tahunan, ya. So as if ini artinya adalah sama dengan li, ya, doing every certain time, ya. But we can also use an for specific events. like Jumatan, Agustusan, Kartinian, which is not translatable into English li. You cannot say Friday li gitu ya. Untuk menerjemahkan Jumatan, kemudian Augustly, that's also impossible. So the way we use an in Indonesian is culture specific, and it creates language specific lexicalization. That means it only exists in Indonesian. Now, what about apology? If someone in every culture makes slight mistakes or errors, they will apologize. Yes, fine, but to some degree differently. Yeah. Let's have a look at the examples. In Indonesian, we have this expression, Selamat Idul Fitri, mohon maaf lahir dan batin. Yeah. If you attempt to translate this into other languages like English, I apologize to you for my outer wrongdoings and inner sins. Ini berlebihan ya. This is too much for them. Ngapain gitu ya. It's not really normal to apologize in this way. Jadi ini salah. Ya, kalau ada tanda ini berarti this is not common. Dalam bahasa Arab pun seperti itu ternyata. Nggak wajar untuk mengatakan ahwan min fadlikum dohiran wa batinan ya. So this is not common in Arabic. And it turns out that the expression of apology, mohon maaf lahir dan batin, is Malay specific. Jadi digunakan di Indonesia, Malaysia, dan Brunei. Not translatable into English or Arabic. Ya, karena asalnya memang di culture Malay gitu. Begitu juga dengan kebiasaan orang Jawa. Ya, ini ada buku bahasa Jawa juga, maksudnya buku tentang Jawa. Kemudian penulisnya ini orang Amerika, tapi dia sudah mendalami budaya Jawa gitu ya. Dalam acknowledgement-nya dia menulis menawi wonten kalepatan salebeting karangan punika kula nyuwun pangapunten gitu ya. Jadi dia menulis permintaan maaf kalau ada salah gitu dalam buku ini, saya mohon dimaafkan. Tapi nulisnya dalam bahasa Jawa. Karena kalau kita terjemahkan dalam bahasa Inggris, misalnya menjadi, should there be any mistakes in this book, I apologize to the reader. Itu aneh banget, nggak mungkin ada buku yang ditulis dalam bahasa Inggris terus ada tulisannya seperti ini. Ya, because this is culture specific apology. This is only culturally and linguistically possible in Japanese. It's not possible in English. Ya. Begitu juga sebenarnya kalau kita pidato ya, doing public speech in English, itu nggak perlu bilang mohon maaf apabila ada kesalahan dan lain sebagainya, because it's not common in English speaking. What about this wedding invitations? Ya, ada wedding invitations. If you pay attention to Indonesian wedding invitation, this is a passive structure. Merupakan suatu kehormatan dan kebahagiaan tersendiri bagi kami apabila Bapak, Ibu, Saudara-saudari berkenan hadir untuk memberikan doa restu kepada kedua mempelai. Ya. If you attempt to translate it into sentence level, the equivalent is you are invited to the wedding reception, ya kan? Ini strukturnya pasif. Kalau kalian perhatikan. Bandingkan dengan English wedding invitations. It's using active structure. Seakan-akan mereka bilang dengan tegas gitu ya, we invite you to the wedding reception of our children. Ya, look at this one. Mrs. this and this request the honor of your presence. Ya, jadi ini lebih aktif nuansa strukturnya. Why? Because in Indonesian, passive construction is showing politeness, which is necessary for keeping social harmony. Sementara dalam bahasa Inggris, active construction shows responsibility and indicating that every individual is a responsible member of the community. So I am inviting you, I'm using active construction. Kalau orang Inggris ya. Kalau orang Indonesia, okay, I'm inviting you, that's why I'm trying to be polite and I'm using passive construction. So what we can say is that every culture has its own conventions, and the cultural conventions often get expressed linguistically, producing culture-specific expressions. As noted earlier, these are expressions whose literal translations are rejected by distant culture. Okay, so I think this is what you can underline. Sorry, let's go back here. So this is important, yeah. We have conventions in every culture, and then these conventions are expressed linguistically and then produce culture-specific expressions. Okay, if you want more examples, you can find them on your own. Ini contohnya, ya, culture-specific expressions. Happy Thanksgiving. Gimana mau nerjemahkan Thanksgiving? Nggak bisa ya, so it's very specific. Ada udang di balik batu, kalau mau diterjemahkan, there is a shrimp behind the stone. Nah, nggak ngerti orang Amerika misalnya ya. What do you mean there is a stone behind the stone? Oh, there is a shrimp behind the stone. It's untranslatable. Mangan orang mangan kumpul, ya, ini juga tidak bisa langsung ditranslate begitu saja karena konsep ini tidak ada di Amerika atau di Inggris ya. Whatever happens, the most important thing is that we're together, okay? It's not really what they believe in, gitu ya, maybe. All right, so you can find more examples of this on your own. All right, so that's all for today's lesson. Actually, what you are required to do is read the PowerPoint and also listen to the explanation in the video, and then participate in the forum in Sipejar. All right, so thank you.